Hey, welcome to the Our Father Stories podcast, where we share stories of ordinary people experiencing the kingdom of God in everyday life. That's a part of our mission here at Our Father, which is helping ordinary people know and share extraordinary life in Christ. And I'm Nate Peregoy, one of the pastors here at Our Father Lutheran Church in Centennial, which is a suburb of South Denver. I'm joined today by a couple of really special people. Atkelt Simon is the Strategic Partnership Director at Children's HopeChest, and our very own Pastor Micah Steiner, who's our Director of Missional Living here at Our Father. Our goal today is to hear about our partnership with Children's HopeChest and give you an update on where we've been in the first year of a 10-year partnership to know and share extraordinary life in Christ with our friends in Ethiopia. So I'm really excited. It's good to have you guys here.
Thank you for having us.
You bet. And Micah.
Thanks for letting me come back to the podcast. It's great.
It's good to have you on the couch again. This time kind of as a guest as well. You've been a host with me for a long time. We want to hear and share with our folks who are listening and watching this a year in, what are some of the highlights? Atkelt, you were here in the studio with us a year ago as we were launching this partnership. Right. What did we launch? Let's start there.
Yes. And so, a year ago when we launched, Mojo is more of like a restart CarePoint. And so the vision of like, hey, let's restart this CarePoint, and so the Mojo Mekane Yesus Church, we partnered with them, and that we had a goal, right, to strengthen and restart the CarePoint, and we had a vision trip with Our Father Lutheran Church, and Micah, you remember going that and visiting, and after that process, right, we launched the CarePoint in May last year.
To a slow start.
To a slow start, yes.
I don't know if everybody's heard
the first Sunday, yeah.
We had maybe 20-some people the first week.
Yes.
And I was calling Atkelt going, I don't know what's wrong with this congregation. Like, I thought we were going to get this done day one. It's going to be easy, slam dunk. And then started posting some videos, got a few more trickle in. Few more. So that doesn't sound like I'm bragging. I'll let you share the record that Our Father Lutheran Church has set for CarePoint launches.
Yeah, it's we had the goal was 150, right? And then the first Sunday we had 26 signups. And I remember.
For a second.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sign up to do what? If somebody is hasn't been here, jumping in midstream. To do what?
Yeah, so the goal is 150 sponsorship to become a friend, to children at Mojo. And so as we restart the CarePoint, the goal is 150 children. And so here, the first Sunday when we launched, we had 26 people signed up to be a friend, and so we were way lower than the goal, and the anticipation we had. But then, I remember Micah sending videos and giving more clarity of what this is, what the partnership is and what we are doing at Mojo CarePoint. And you see people understanding it and getting behind it. Like within 2 weeks, we surpassed the goal of 150 and we were going into 160s.
I think it was 165 at that point, yeah.
Right, before we did the matching event at Mojo CarePoint where the children chose, their Our Father friends. And so that's just an incredible response, outpouring of love and support for this brand, like a new restart CarePoint at Mojo CarePoint. And that's incredible. Yeah.
I remember talking with you, Micah. It was a Monday after we had launched here. And you were just so down.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I was like, this is the most unsuccessful thing I've ever done in ministry in my life. And I know it's not my work, but it was so sad. And then to have the joy of filling up the CarePoint by the deadline Mickey, the country director in Ethiopia for HopeChest, told me that has never happened before at a church in Ethiopia. So you all surpassed our expectations.
Yes.
We're very grateful for that.
It's amazing. It would be great if you could share, like Ruhama, I think when you visited the CarePoint, what that looked like from, when they see that, right?
Yeah. Ruhama is our CarePoint director. Is that the right title?
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful woman. She had been a part of the first CarePoint that another church was supposed to be partnering with, and that fell apart. And so we came in and took over, and Ruhama, as she's getting information from Atkelt about the launch Sunday, she was at first disappointed as well, thinking we'd get a few more people signed up. And she prayed to God. She goes, God, if we can just get 40, 40 kids sponsored, 40 families connected, that would be just a blessing. And then as she's telling us the story, we went back in January for a check-in visit and partner visit. And she's on the stage of this church crying, tears coming down her face, saying, it got to 60 and then 100, then 125 and then 150. And she's like, God overwhelmed our expectations, So that meant so much to her as the project coordinator. Yeah.
Of the CarePoint.
So that was last May here in town at Our Father, in this very building where we sit in the studio. And then you and a team from Our Father went to Mojo, which is outside Addis Ababa. Did I say that right?
Yes.
For Matching Sunday. Tell us about Matching Sunday.
Do you want to take that one?
Okay. Go ahead. Since you guys were there, actually.
So this is one of the things that makes HopeChest so unique. The children have the opportunity to choose which family or which person they want to be their friend, their sponsor. And we hung up all the pictures on the wall, 150 some children on the wall of the families back home here in Colorado.
Right.
And one by one, a child would go up and they would look on the wall and they'd take a picture off the wall and chose who their family was. And then they were asked, well, why did you choose that family? And Bettina Meski, member here, she was the first one that was chosen, young person in her 20s. And the child said, because she's so beautiful. And then a grandparent was picked and was asked, why did you choose this grandparent? And he said, well, my grandparents are no longer living. I want grandparents. And that was chosen. And then other families were chosen because, the dad reminded them of a father who had passed away, or a mother was so nice and kind like their own mother. And each one had a really unique story of why they chose the person. And that was also a big celebration just to thank God for his generosity and the generosity of this congregation and kick off our partnership.
Right.
And then we, myself, Kendall, Pastor Abel, a couple other members of Our Father, we went back in January of this year to do a check-in and see how everybody's doing, a partner visit. And I was able to meet the child that picked us, a little girl named Lemmy. Met her mom. She wanted to come and thank me and to meet me, which was a tremendous blessing. And some of the other, and every one of the sponsors got to meet their child as well and spend 20 minutes with them.
Special part.
Remarkable. Yeah.
Wasn't Ron on that trip with you from our church?
Ron, this was a cool story too. Ron is in his 80s. He's 80. Well, I'm not going to say how old he is. That's probably a HIPAA violation or something. He's older than me. And he adopted 2 boys, and one of the boys' mom made the trip to come to the CarePoint to meet him because her husband had died 2 or 3 years previously. So she's a single mom raising kids. And she told Ron via the translator, I've been praying for you because when my husband died, I needed a man to take care of my son and to raise him up and to care for the family. And so I've been praying to God for years that God would send me a man. And God sent me you to care for my family and to bless my family. And, everybody's like, oh, yeah, not a dry eye in the place, hearing that story. So another reason to go, if you're a current friend and sponsor, consider going to meet your family out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something very, very special, as you build relationship, and actually being there at the CarePoint is truly something very special. And, as our mom said, right, like about it's a prayer answered, right? And not only for their family, I believe for most of the families that are enrolled and the children, it's a prayer answered, an answer to prayer. Because the CarePoint has made a significant stride, and step forward in caring for the children and the community well, and so right now, we have 187 children that are being, cared for and loved on and poured into. We have 3 full-time staff that are there, providing care. And also just a holistic programming, right? With education, all of them are enrolled in school, and they are also enrolled in discipleship, classes. They're learning about how special they are and loved by, by the Lord. They have health programs, social emotional programs, and so just wonderful what's happening there and how God is working, through these relationships. And so it is an answer to prayer for all these families, hundreds of families that are in the program right now.
So let's pull over from it. You've used the word CarePoint. We've been talking so far about the partner program with families here at Our Father. 187. That's incredible. And there's also a special ministry called a CarePoint that's there in the city of Mojo.
Right.
Kids are discipled, education happens, but there's a wider service to families, right? Tell us about what's happening for families as well as the kids at the CarePoint in Mojo. What's that about?
Yes, so that's a great question. And so a CarePoint, right, is an actual place where we are, serving the children, right? And when we're running the program and, where things are happening. And so that is hosted by the Mojo Makana Jesus local church.
Okay,
so that means Lutheran. It's a Lutheran denomination in Ethiopia, actually the largest Lutheran denomination in the world. 12 million members or something like that. So a fast growing church. And that's they are the hosts of this CarePoint.
So local congregation is a Lutheran congregation where the physical CarePoint is located.
Yes.
Got it?
Yeah. So they are hosting it. We're partnering with them, the CarePoint. We're partnering there, and so we are using the utilizing their facilities, and then their congregation is also helping, supporting, for example, by volunteering, like teaching, discipleship classes in all sorts of ways. And so that's the CarePoint in the church. And also, if you think about it, these are 187 families within the community that the church is able to reach. Because these families are coming on weekly basis, and engaging with what's happening at the CarePoint. So that's an opportunity for the local congregation also to minister to, right?
Sorry to interrupt you. They do. Pastor Reda he was an evangelist. There's a role in the Lutheran Church in Ethiopia called evangelist, and then he went back to seminary and became fully ordained. But he had been at that church just preaching and teaching, like a preaching station essentially, before he became a pastor. And that church grew so fast they already had to find a new facility from the first time that we went there. So there's that is happening, but for, at least from my perspective, being a pastor, but also being a part of this congregation, the local discipleship, that it's a two-way partnership there as well. We consider this a partnership. If you're a sponsor from the United States, you're partnering with HopeChest, but also HopeChest and the local church partners, because they do, and I think you said this, they do the evangelism, the outreach, the discipleship. We met their staff, their team of leaders. The last time we were there, we had a dinner with them. Roasted goat.
Yeah,
I should tell that story at some point. It's a tradition, and you could already see the relationships being formed there as well. So they're hosting it, but it's way more than that for the local leaders.
Yes.
Not just like, here's our building, go ahead and use it.
They're deeply involved.
It's here's our building, we're here to share it and to share life with you.
Yeah.
Yes, they are, part of the vision of transforming the community, and they play a key role, vital role,
Okay.
in the spiritual formation and transformation happening in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, the partnership. And then when you asked about like the families, right? And so what I love about the Children's Hope Chest approach is it starts with the children, but it doesn't stop there. We take the next step of involving, the families as well. So if we really want to make a deeper impact and see transformation in the community, we need to involve the primary caregivers of the children, and so we have family empowerment programs,
Like what?
at
What
the
does that mean?
CarePoint.
Tell us about that.
So one of the approaches is a community self-help group. So these are groups of about 15 to 20 families, and that they are organized into those groups, and they are equipped and trained, given training on basic financial skills, saving habits, job creation, entrepreneurship. So they are equipped, and put together in a group so that they are supporting one another. And so, especially, like in a very vulnerable community, you talk about like saving, right? It's like, what are you talking about saving? We're trying to survive,
On a dollar or
that-
two a day, how am I supposed to save?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how when they are trained and, equipped, they would realize their potential and the asset, because I love the asset-based approach. It's not need-based, but like, what do you have? And just having that entrepreneurial mindset. And so it's amazing how the Mojo community responded, like in, since like less than a year, right? Since we had this effort going, 135 families became part of these groups. So we have 7 community self-help groups in Mojo right now. And 135 of them are already, involved. And so, as we continue, our hope is that all of the families are, engaging with these groups. And it's amazing. I reached out and asked, like, okay, what is the saving looking like? And right now, all these groups have $2,400 saved. The last few,
Well,
months.
and to put that in perspective, Tigis is a woman who had gone through the first program at the CarePoint, and she is a single mom, raising kids on her own. And when they said to her, "You're going to save money," she laughed, and she goes, "How could you possibly save money? There's not enough money around to even eat."
Right.
Well, one simple thing that they taught was, instead of serving coffee, because coffee is a huge thing in Ethiopia.
Right.
Another reason to go if you like coffee. They would serve coffee 4 or 5 times a day. Well, here's what you would save over the course of a year if you only served coffee twice a year, or twice a day, or 3 times a day. And then all of a sudden there's money to be saved.
Right.
And it just took somebody walking alongside to teach and train, and nobody in their lives, or her life, I should say, thought about that or knew how to do that, because there was a mindset of poverty. I'm going to be in poverty my entire life.
Right.
And so another aspect of the CarePoint is this encouragement and community that goes around that's shared, so that they actually have a positive self-worth, less despair, and more hope. And that hope is powerful.
Yes, it's inspiring a lot of hope and excitement, and that's why we have all these families, excited about this opportunity. And so this would help these families become sustainable on their own. We talk about sustainability, right? The children, but also their families, that they are able to break the cycle of poverty, because we have maybe one child, right, that is enrolled in the program, but there are other children in the household, right? And so this would help lift up the whole family, and so in the long run, right, that you'd see all these families becoming self-sustaining. And so it's just wonderful to see this is already happening, right? Like, it was already starting, and people are responding to it very well at Mojo.
Well, and going back to Tigis, she went from barely surviving to now she owns, I believe, 3 coffee shops in Mojo. And coffee shop, it's not like a Starbucks, you know, it's a wooden structure with some tin metal roof on it, and people come in through the window, you know, to get their coffee.
Yeah.
But now she has the 3 businesses. Her daughter now is taking over one of the businesses, and she has enough money to be in savings. And then now she herself, and this is where the empowerment part comes, the asset based. She's now leading one of the self-help groups herself. Yeah. And so she's come full circle from being a participant to being a leader.
Yeah, so that's it, you know, empowering them into, you know, leadership as well. And that's very interesting because we have older, you know, kids or youth at the CarePoint as well, right? From the previous partnership. And so they actually, most of them are like in higher education or vocational class. They actually started a self-help group of their own. Yeah. They call it like Unity Saving Group. And so they are saving now, and their goal is to start like a bakery. And so it's just really good to see that, even like it being ingrained in the youth, you know, and as the little children growing up, seeing that, you know, that's it's a good president and good role model for them as well. Yeah.
It's funny because as you've been describing that, I've been thinking about the impact that makes on generation, follows generation. I mean, a different take on the idea of generational wealth, that families, 130 families, 35 families that didn't have that before have that to pass on to their kids. I mean, the ripples of that are huge.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And people often ask, you know, why Ethiopia or why Mojo? And I can't answer that other than the Holy Spirit largely pushed us together as partnership and relationship. One difference, though, between Ethiopia, a country like Ethiopia or Guatemala, where you all do work, is that compared to America, is that in America, we still have a welfare program paid for by tax dollars that is, we're not going to talk about whether it's good or bad, but it's available. And they don't have that in many developing world countries. It's just, there's no access to it. And so these are folks who, in my estimation, are on the very bottom of the rung of being able to pick themselves up and be empowered, because there's nothing to help them do that outside of outside agents walking alongside and showing them. So if people are asking that question, that's why they just have limited resources as a country, as a nation, and then as individuals living in extreme poverty.
Yeah. It reminds me of like, I think somebody asked like, Sir Edmund Hillary, who climbed Mount Everest for the first time, you know, like why Everest? It's either him or it's somebody like him. I don't know. And he said, because it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, why go to Ethiopia? Because the need is there.
Yeah.
Because the kingdom of God, you know, the impact that we can make from here or there, because God's called us.
Yeah. And if you've never been to a third world country, the most people, when they have the first experience, their minds they just can't handle the amount of poverty and how disruptive that is to living a happy, healthy life. So that might be something, you know, to consider going to a trip. If that's way out of your comfort zone, I can think of a lot of spiritual reasons why that's a good thing for you to go and face that, either fear of, or, you know, idea of being uncomfortable. God uses uncomfortable situations to grow us as disciples, followers of him.
Yeah, and I think those are great opportunities to bringing communities together, and we would like to see this as more of a two-way transformation, right? As in transformation taking place, you were talking about that in Mojo, but also here, you know, at our Father, right? Of people growing in their understanding of, you know, God's kingdom, you know, worldwide, being a part of what God is doing, right? In Ethiopia, in Mojo, taking part of that. But also, you know, I think traveling also just creates that opportunity to sharing, you know, your love and your experience. The purpose for our partner visits, we don't call them mission trips on purpose, in purpose, because, you know, this is going there to visit, you know, your partners. And so you go there as a learner, and you go there to build relationships. Yeah. And so it's just the relationships is where you see transformation, you know, for everyone involved as well.
Yeah.
And so we, I think, so we really want to see people, going there, while building relationship, they are also sharing their love and experiences there.
Yeah.
So teachers can be excited about going there if they are spending time with, teachers or with social workers or, medical professionals, collaborating with, what the medical program that we have going there at the CarePoint. And so there would be, plenty of opportunities like that could make people here, right? Hey, would love to be a part of that if that's needed, or if that aligns with what's happening at the CarePoint, and really want our partner visits to be very meaningful and transformative for the CarePoint, as much as for people that are going, and spending time at the CarePoint.
So I think what you're saying is a bit of shift from the way most Western churches view mission. It's that we in the West come and we do the things for you.
Yeah, we'll paint a church, we'll paint a house, we'll clean things,
projects.
But now it's we understand, and I mean, I think it's okay. You can say that we do have resources, and we want to share those resources, but we want to do it in the most helpful way possible. And there's a ton of evidence out there. I think we talked about this the first time you came on, that actually in the last 60 years, something like $6 trillion of aid, Western aid, has gone to Ethiopia. And all the metrics of what you would hope that money would do has gone the wrong direction. The inverse axis. The money's coming in, marriages are tanking, education's tanking, literacy's tanking. So obviously just giving money, throwing money at problems, it doesn't work. But what I'm excited about with HopeChest is this model does work, and it's proven.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That relationship, that makes a difference, when I were actually going there and building relationship and supporting, right, what is already happening, or being a part of what God is already doing, at Mojo, and talk about the self-help groups and their saving, and their mindset is shifting, and now we're coming alongside those self-help groups, right? And so our Father Lutheran has supported this project that is gonna, get this self-help groups moving, and into the direction of sustainability. And so that's what's gonna make a difference, and so so that's really exciting.
And then the two-way transformation on our end, if you were to go and meet your child or their family,
right,
experience Mojo, experience Addis, you'll find that there's so much for us to learn as Americans, as individualistic people. Community, I think Ethiopians do community better than probably anybody else I've seen.
Was coffee.
The coffee. So the coffee thing is cool. So the idea behind it is, when you come into somebody's house, instead of getting to business and unpacking your suitcases or whatever, the first thing you do is sit down and connect. Right. And so you stop everything. You stop making the meal. You stop cleaning the house. You sit down and you enjoy a cup of coffee and fellowship with a family or a friend, family member or friend. That is unheard of for most Americans, most Westerners. Like, there's something to do. We got to get the task done. We have to perform the thing.
Coffee is actually that help you be productive, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of more as we see it here. It's like, you go through the driveway, and
so I can work longer.
So that I could, but there's more of like a slow down and building, community. It's a communal thing. And you even have like the coffee ceremony where you are, sitting and 3 rounds and everything. And so that is something that happens every CarePoint. Like when you go, the coffee ceremony, which Nate, as you go, you would get to experience that. I believe so. That's
And I'll also say for discipleship purposes, we as Christians can learn a lot from the Makani Yesu, from the Christians in Ethiopia. A sense of evangelism is you join a church in the Makani Yesu denomination. You join it with the idea in mind that you will be sharing your faith. Don't join if this is not the church for you, if you're not going to witness the love and majesty of Jesus Christ. So we can absolutely learn from, we're going to give a lot, we're going to get a lot in return. And that's the two-way
transformation. And that happens through relationship, authentic relationship.
I think all that sounds wonderful. what's the end goal? Where are we headed? How do we know when we're successful?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nate, and it's what I really actually like about the Children's HopeChest approach is actually we have an end goal that's well articulated and planned and strategic. So Mojo has a community development plan. That outlines that plan,
and it's a massive document. I keep forgetting to send it out to our current partners because it's 45, 60 pages of
right, and it's just new. And I think in our upcoming the updated one version, we're gonna go over our during our upcoming huddle.
Yeah.
And so really excited to sharing more of that with you all. And it's so it's good when you have a plan already, and the year of graduation is 2035, right? And so that's already established, and they have 3 different phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And so building up on like on phase 1 where we are at right now, right? Building relationship and building in trust and laying a good foundation, right?
Basic needs getting met.
Needs being met, and the children being in school, and just having those basic needs met.
Okay.
But also starting getting this families into self-help groups and getting them established in that way. And so that's the first one, and then we'll build onto that on the second phase, where the children are growing and are engaging in leadership classes, vocational trainings, and thriving in their education, as the families are also continuing doing that. But so what we are the end goal, what we would like to see is the CarePoint becoming a community-based organization that would be a self-sustaining local organization, and so that's the end goal. We call that CarePoint graduation. And building that internal capacity, building that capacity of helping them become self-sustaining. And so I think we talked about the community self-help groups and how that would be, help individual families and those groups, break out of poverty and become self-sustaining. But at the community level, we have revenue generating activities or, projects that would, create that, economic sustainability, for the CarePoint. And so there would be, projects like, like there are some plans like with animal husbandry, where it's like, or bakery. And, we have some of those plans outlined in the CarePoint development plan, which
gardens, selling fruit, selling vegetables, selling chickens, carts, making carts and selling them. So ways to be self-sufficient through income that you didn't have, or a job you didn't have access to before.
And again, the approach is grassroots, ground up, right? It's not like, here are the materials for the carts that we have given to you. It's what is the DNA of the community? How does it grow from within? What's unique and relevant to the passions of the people who are part of the self-help groups? So do I understand that correctly?
Correct, yeah.
Yes. And so that's the thing is, it's also next step of, we have that family level, right? And then the CarePoint level is more of like a community level. Building onto that, there would be those businesses that would generate revenue for the CarePoint.
Yep.
And so that's and then we would have like a community leadership team, that's going to be taking over, right, the CarePoint, and continuing it, sustaining the CarePoint. And so part of that is not only economic but also leadership, right, of how do we prepare our the children and their families to be able to and participate, right? So the community leadership team actually have there's a spot for the children to be like in that leadership team, and so it's a lot of that community leadership development happening as well. Yes.
So we've got the family connection, the friends, partners piece. We've got the community CarePoint focus. And this is a model that's not unique to Mojo. I mean,
right.
This is something that you guys have developed and learned in countries all over the world, in cities just like Mojo, right? It's not like we're just trying to figure this out for the first time.
No, yeah. Actually, what's very exciting is this year in Uganda we'll be graduating our first 2 CarePoints
Cool.
in the history of Children's HopeChest, and so we're really excited to graduate this CarePoint. So there's something that we are doing in all our countries and CarePoint. So that's all CarePoints have community development plan, and that's our approach. Yeah.
I've never thought about it in those terms that like our Father is a part of this really amazing thing in Mojo that we're going to talk in just a moment about how it's expanding. But we're also a part of this movement through Children's Hope Chest in sort of an indirect way in communities like it all over the world.
Yeah.
Right.
God's using your organization and the kingdom of God in amazing ways.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to head there in August. We're recording this at the beginning of the summer. And you were just at our place a couple of weeks ago because we had a couple more kids that were looking for friends here at our Father. So we're up to 187.
Right.
You said, right? And so in this trip that it's in August is an opportunity to partner with other local churches here in Denver to augment and expand the work in Mojo.
Yes.
Tell us about that opportunity.
Yeah, so that's a vision of making Mojo CarePoint a larger CarePoint, a mega CarePoint, and so
Mega CarePoint. I like
Mega
that.
CarePoint.
CarePoint, and so that's we call that growing deep, versus like we could open another CarePoint, but the strategy is how can we grow deep and strengthen, be more impactful at the community. So the more families we have involved, the impact, the greater the impact. And so at Mojo, the goal is to grow it up to 300 children, so 300 families. And so it's exciting, with our Father Lutheran, you all, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but galvanizing or, bringing other, churches around you, so the Parker Lutheran High School,
Trinity
Franktown.
Is Peace going to go in Arvada? Peace?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So we are still, having conversation.
Come on, Peace. Step it up.
So it's, and so that's wonderful too, that we're seeing that collaboration of, communities and, churches and school, just coming together to make that vision a reality. And so I'm really excited going representing our Father Lutheran and just exploring that opportunity with
And let me ask you, how many other locations are you already doing this growing deep model to expand it? As I understand, we were like maybe on the front end of that for you guys.
That is so we used to have one church and one CarePoint model for a long time, but now we're just more shifting into, because particularly since this is a long-term partnership, it makes the most sense when you have more several churches or communities from the U.S. side supporting a community. And so so that's now our newer strategy to strengthen CarePoint support.
With the exception, I understand that God will humble the proud, right?
Yeah,
that is a thing.
He's
but
pretty good at that.
I'm pretty excited that our Father, that our folks, quickest CarePoint launch. And now on the forefront of this exciting new thing. So just kudos to the folks here and being faithful to God's calling and prompting. I think that's worth celebrating.
Yes, God is doing something really amazing here. Our Father and what it started here is is expanding. Including others around you, and so just really grateful for how you are advocating and bringing your community together to participate in what God is doing in Mojo. So really grateful for that. Excited for that.
So if I'm already a partner or a friend, and our family there's a little girl named Kina who I'm going to get to meet in August.
Yes.
What can I be doing if I'm considering being a friend, or if I already am? What's my opportunity day to day beyond the kind of monthly financial commitment?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, you are all, HopeChest friends, prayer friends here are a big part of this, right? Building relationship, encouraging the children. And so, continue praying for them, continue your support, and, write letters. That's one way that you can, tangible way that you can build relationship and encourage, the children. And I always say, like, I used to be one of those kids, and whenever I received those letters meant a lot to me. And so just want to encourage people to write letters, and so that the children are also writing a couple times a year. And so if you go to www.hopechest.org/write, that's where it's an online platform, right, where you can write and you get tips and all that. But if you are wondering, it's like, I don't know what to write, or it doesn't have to be like a long letter. If you just I hope this also would be a good reminder for you if you haven't, just want to encourage you, just encourage the children, just tell them that you love them, you care about them, that God loves them, what God is doing in your life, and share, and that's what we encourage the children to do as well, share what God is doing in their lives and what they're learning. And so we want this to be, a really meaningful and relational. So that's one, one way. Yeah.
And tell us a little bit, there's a girl in particular, you were telling us her story when you hear with us in person.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah. Tesfalem, right? It's, she actually right before the CarePoint started, she lives with her mom and her sister and her stepdad, but they weren't able to afford continue sending her to school. So her mom pulled her out of school, and so she was, she just lost that opportunity to go to school. So, but when Mojo came, right, and she got enrolled, and now she's back in school, and she's just like really thriving at the CarePoint, right? And so now, she, one of the things that in her story is that she's involved now in two clubs, social groups at the CarePoint for the kids, choreography and also the choir. Right. And so she's just thriving and just really excited. But you can imagine, like, what if she didn't get that opportunity? What could have happened to her? And I can imagine with her mom just pulling her out of school. We can't do this. Yeah. And her mom probably didn't have that opportunity. That she's in this situation now because maybe she didn't have that opportunity, right? And it's heartbreaking for her, like, oh, this is happening to my daughter, right? And what is her future is going to look like? But this is such a prayer, an answer to prayer, something that ignites hope in the family. And so she's tapping into, she's making the most out of the opportunity presented to her. She's leading, worship, and she's, doing that. And so when I was here on April 26th for the Sunday, it was awesome to see those girls, right? One of them was, singing like a boy.
Oh yeah.
And then, the other one was doing actually choreography. It's just beautiful, right? And we were telling her, the story of Tesfalem. And so that was just a beautiful connection. And hopefully we'll take that clip and send it to the CarePoint and show it to Tesfalem, right?
I'll do that.
Tesfalem. And even, like in the future, if the girls with their families are able to go there and visit. And so that's a kind of, relationship and being a part of what God is doing in their lives and igniting hope and, be building this meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
And so, just encouraging what God is doing in their lives through letter writing. And we do send you updates every month from the CarePoint. So make sure that, you are checking your inbox. I think it comes from Children's HopeChest at marketing.hopechest.org. Maybe we'll put that in the screen, but it is that way it doesn't go to your spam, and you are getting updates from from HopeChest about Mojo. So continue praying for them, writing letters, and be thinking about planning and saving, for going and joining one of the trips, because we will have one every year.
So Micah, tell us, I'm going with the folks at Trinity and Lutheran High School in August. That's a vision trip for them that I'm kind of piggybacking on to kind of check out Mojo from Our Father. But there's an Our Father official trip coming up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, October 20 to the 28th, 2026, depending on when you're listening to this. And it's a 2-day trip to get there, so it is kind of lengthy travel. We'll spend 4 total days at the CarePoint. You'll get to meet your child. You'll get to meet their parents if they're available. We will be providing leadership lessons that are dependent on what you have to offer. If you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, if you're a mom, whatever you have, there's folks there that can learn from you. We'll receive a lot of hugs, a lot of good coffee, a lot of good meals. There'll be presentations. We'll learn more about the CarePoint, meet the staff of the church, and all those things. And then we also want to understand the beautiful country and the complex country that is Ethiopia. So we'll do some touristy things, some cultural things, sightseeing, and really think of it as building the relationship not just with the CarePoint and the kids, but with Ethiopians in their home country.
At the time we're recording this, worldwide crisis and conflict in that area. Gas shortage is really significant. You can be praying about that right now. Atkelt, give us a quick synopsis about that at the time where we're talking about this.
Yes. So yes, because of the global crisis and the war, in Ethiopia right now, that is has created fuel shortage. And the price of fuel increasing, and that's really exacerbating the situation and the inflation that was already there, and so that's something to be praying about, that things would stabilize. And if you see, there's a video that I've recently seen of trucks and cars just waiting long.
It was
lines.
literally I can't. Let's just call it a mile and a half of cars just sitting there waiting to get into a fuel station up the road, just hoping that event. And they've been waiting there for 2 days, some of them.
Right.
So, and then they don't have enough fuel for emergency services. So if there's a call, you can't get the fire truck there because there's no fuel.
Wow.
Getting needed medicine to hospitals, all that stuff is interwoven, connected.
Right. So transportation is a huge part of the economy, and so that really it's affecting things. And so just to be thinking about the country of Ethiopia, and also HopeChest and our staff and Mojo's staff, that as they continue to faithfully serve during the situation, that they would remain encouraged and feel they feel the love and the support from you all. And so just continue praying for them.
And the West, I'm sure we take this for granted with the gas stations all over the place. If you haven't looked at your globe in a while and spun that thing around, Ethiopia's landlocked, so all of those are imports, all the fuel. You can't just pull up and for the tanker or refinery on the coast.
Right. So that's the current big crisis and situation in Ethiopia, and do appreciate you all praying about that.
One thing on the letter writing, I just want to go back to that real quick, because some of the folks have said to me that they haven't received a letter yet, and in a couple occasions they were in spam. A couple occasions they're just young kids, and they don't have a culture of letter writing. And actually, I don't think we do either in the States for young people. But for folks who've been around a while, letter writing, they're familiar with it and they knew how to do it. So just be patient. I want to reiterate what Atkelt said. Keep writing, keep the communication going, because they do get the letters. We got testimony from some of the kids there, how much it meant to hear from your friend in America. Send pictures, and then eventually that will increase for the folks as they get older and the relationship gets developed more.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point.
Atkelt, what's one final thing you want to say to our listeners? We've talked about the partner program for the families with kids. We've talked about the CarePoint. We've talked about the Children's HopeChest model and the opportunity to grow deeper with this mega CarePoint. And just we talked about trips that are upcoming from our Father. Any final word as we wrap up that you want to share with our people?
Yeah, I think, the final word would be just really grateful for our Father Lutheran, the congregation, just the outpouring of love and support. That's just really, really incredible. And I'm here representing, so many people, right? Of the families at Mojo, our staff, our Ethiopia staff, and our, HopeChest community, just really want to present that gratitude and say thank you on behalf. And thank you for being a part of what God is doing through HopeChest, around the world, as you said, and particularly also at Mojo. And really exciting things are coming. The best is yet to come, and we get to partner with God and advance His kingdom. And so that's such a wonderful thing that we get to do. And so grateful for everyone, and I'm glad that I'm able to share this with you all. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful to have you here at Atkelt. Know that you're headed out of town soon to help another Lutheran church launch their first CarePoint around the world too. So thank you for making time. And Micah, as always, good to have you here.
Good to see you, buddy.
All right. Well, for more episodes just like this one and stories like Atkelt's and what God is up to in the lives of ordinary people, go to ourfatherlutheran.net/stories.